Hey guys, Dave from Wolfhard Hobbying here, and today we're going to take a look at how I paint flames. To serve as my example here, I'm going to use the loincloth, I think that's what it was called, anyways, from my Forgeworld avatar model as our example here. And since I am doing this with my Forgeworld avatar, I'm going with kind of blue, ethereal type feel. So I'm not going to do traditional flames in this example, but all the steps that I'm doing you can use with traditional colors like your reds, your oranges, and yellows. But with mine, I'm going with kind of an ethereal blue. So I'm kind of doing the flames like I did with the fantasy ghosts. So I'm going to come in with Drakenhof Nightshade, and we're going to give a fairly heavy wash over all the flames. So as you can see, they were painted white so that we had a bright color to be working with. And the Drakenhof is just to tint those flames just a little bit, the little tongues of the flame. You don't really need to do this step if you are using a brush and layering on everything. I do this step just to give me some contrast in between the tongues of flame, and just to give it a little bit more of a pop. You could also, if you want to go with a bright blue, use Guilliman blue. Or if you are doing a traditional flame, I would suggest using the Bloodletter red glaze for this step. Those will just give you brighter flames. But again, as I'm going with more of an ethereal look or feel to these flames, I didn't want too bright of a color. I just wanted it to look like these are ghost flames, so they're not actually burning, they're just kind of an apparition. So just going over the entirety of the fire area and just making sure I get this wash into the crevices. You're going to kind of lose the wash look afterwards, but you can always come in and reestablish it if it's something you want, so you have darker contrast at the flames. But if you're going traditional bright flames, I wouldn't suggest doing a wash. I would suggest using a bright glaze for even green if you wanted to for this color. So I'm going to let this sit and dry for about half an hour, as there is a lot of wash on there. I should have actually cleaned up quite a bit of it, but it's not going to matter in the long run. So now that everything is dry, you can see we've got a nice deep blue. So we're going to come in with Vallejo's medium blue. You could start with a darker blue and work your way up in highlights if you want. But again, just trying to get a nice look for the model and get them onto a tabletop quickly. So I'm just going to be dry brushing this blue onto the flames, and I'm going to kind of do the entire fire area. Normally you would just kind of worry about the outside, as when you are painting flame, you need to keep in mind that a flame burns brightest at its source. So if you're layering this, you want your darker shadows and darker colors on the edges and the ends of the tongues of flame, and you want your brighter colors in the middle. The reason I'm going over the entire parts of the flame is to give me a better transition when I come in with some of my other colors. So as you can see, I'm just catching the edges here with a nice light dry brush, and it's still leaving that kind of pale, ghostly white blue on part of the flames, the tongues of flames. So again, you could use a Mephiston red to do this if you're doing it in a standard fire color, or even darker if you wanted to. So that's pretty much about it for the medium blue. Again, you could go with a darker blue if you wanted to, but I think the medium blue kind of gets the color that I want across very, very well. So next we're going to come in with our second color, which is just going to be straight deep sky blue. You could do a mixture and work your way into the highlights, but again, I don't want to spend too much time on just this part of the model, as I want to get it onto the table pretty quick. So also, I don't clean my brushes in between dry brushing, so I guess you could kind of say it's maybe a 2-to-1 mixture, but it's hard to really tell when it's just a dirty brush using another color. So I'm focusing this color more in the middle of the body of flames, again because your flames burn brighter near the source, and for me the source would probably be that one corner there, as that's where it seems to be emanating from. So again, just a dry brush, focusing more on the middle and not working too far outwards. But again, you can layer this on and get some blending going on if you wanted to as well. Now I have too much paint on my brush at this point on the back side there, so I'm gonna come in and have to fix that with the Drakenhof Nightshade, and give it probably another heavy wash on the back here. Again, as you can see, I'm losing some of the details of the flame, but again, just Drakenhof Nightshade will darken that a bit. And again, if everything's looking a little chalky, then you could just do a wash to kind of blend all those colors together. So with that blue dry, we're going to come in with some straight white. I'm using Vallejo again, but any white will do. This time I'm switching up my dry brush to a clean one. Again, you could mix the white in with the blue on the other dry brush, but when you are dry brushing, you're going to get that kind of gradient anyways. So now this dry brush, I'm being very selective to kind of focus just on that corner part there as the light source. You could bring it up a little farther if you wanted to. Again, this is all just personal preference on how you want to have your flames looking. So right here I'm trying to establish back some of the flame detail, and as well, like once we paint the loincloth as well and give it a base coat, it'll clean up a lot of that blue and give the separation that I really want. As I'm not going to do an OSL effect on this, as I don't really like OSL effects that much, so I'm going to just come in and I'm going to base coat everything, and it'll show the flames and the tongues of the flame a lot better. But that's pretty much it, guys. Like I said, you could give it a blue wash or even a blue glaze as well to keep that bright white area still within that blue spectrum. I'm not going to show painting the rest of the loincloth, as it's just straight base coating and a simple highlight for that, but I wanted to show you guys as part of the Avatar series how I paint the flame on the loincloth. And this effect can be used for anything. Like I've got an example here of one of my Malifaux models, Scales of Justice. He's got these kind of flame braziers. So that's how you could do the orange flame. Again, I went over with the glaze at the end of it there to give it that orange look. But that's it, guys. That's how I paint flames. It's fairly simple, quick, easy, painless. I want to thank you guys for showing support. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, as well as there's going to be links to my Facebook and Patreon accounts in the video description below. So if you want to shoot me a message on Facebook, go ahead. If you want to show some support on Patreon, awesome. Again, guys, thanks for watching the video and have yourselves a great day.